Hello and welcome to day 4. Today is all about makeup, getting a natural look, having that summer glow, playing with a few products, and hopefully you can have a step-by-step guide on how to create the perfect natural everyday makeup look. As you watch the video, if you decide you want to go backwards and forwards, you'll notice that on one of these top corners there'll be the title of the area that we're working on. So it might be eyes, it might be skin, it might be lips, and so on. That way you can slide back through the video and pick out bits that you maybe want to repeat, give a go, just need extra advice on. If you are watching on the YouTube channel, and anyone here in Midpoint for Women, you will be when you click the link to watch. Please, I'd really love it if you find these videos interesting to hit the like and subscribe, and even if you feel like it, share and comment. So let me know, let's have a show of hands, who has watched day 1, 2, 3 and today. And also let me know, are you watching in Midpoint for Women or are you watching outside of Midpoint for Women? Very, very quickly, if you haven't seen any of the other videos, my week's worth of work or content here for you this week has all been filmed for Midpoint for Women. So if you're struggling with perimenopause, menopause, and you need some help and support, please come and check them out. You'll get support from pelvic floor workouts, stylists, skin, hair, fitness, nutrition. We've had breath work coaches to help with anxiety, you name it, they're normally in there, and it's a really beautiful community of people. So let's get started. So many of you might already know this, and for those who don't, I use Mary Kay makeup. That is because when I was originally trained and affiliated with Colour Me Beautiful, they had products and we used those, and that's what we were kind of tied to. And there were some products there that I loved and some that I wasn't that keen on. When I decided to go independent, I had to find all my resources elsewhere. And not every stylist does makeup, you don't have to, but I grew up, I was the little girl at Brownies who was wearing too much makeup. I've always loved to play with makeup. I think it's just that creative outlet. I've got an art background, so it's painting your face instead of the canvas. And so I stumbled across at the time, sort of about 5-6 years ago, a company called Mary Kay. They're an American company and they just had all the colour I needed. So you'll hear me talk about the colour of their products as we go through, and I've pulled out several bits in front of me here which we're going to use as we go through. If you want to watch and try and go alongside me today, then you will need a primer. You will need to have started with a good cleanse, tone and moisturise and an under eye cream. Then you will preferably need a primer, a foundation, any concealers or colour correctors that you have. You will need eyeliners in either grey or brown. You will need anything you use on your eyebrows. And then you need some really neutral, natural shades. So that's either going to be, if you're a warmer undertone, those gold shimmers, browns, light browns through to the dark browns. And if you are cooler complexion, so maybe you've got your Bernies, you've got salt and pepper hair, go back and watch Monday's video on colour analysis to get an idea. You're going to use no browns or gold. You're going to stick to the more silvery taupes, minks and grey tones. They're going to look more natural on you. If you need any help at the end with colour matching, foundations, lipsticks, or you're interested in having a look at the catalogue or buying any of the products I use today, drop me a personal message either in Facebook Messenger, Instagram, TikTok, or here in YouTube. Or if you have my number, just drop me a message. So let's get started. I have cleansed, toned and moisturised, and I'm going to start with the primer. So a primer is the perfect base, it's the starting point. Primers are makeup to me, not skincare. We've finished the skincare. So this is a really lovely fragrance-free, see-through, shiny product, as you can see. And you really don't need a lot. So I take a tiny, tiny little bit on my finger, whatever you've got. I prefer products that are not perfumed. Anything that's perfumed just got extra chemicals in it that we don't need. So I've spread it between all 4 fingers and I'm going to distribute it across my face. I'm using my phone camera as my mirror today. And as I say, you don't need a lot, and it's just going to start to smooth and create the perfect base. So primer helps products stay on longer. It can help products colour pop more, but our skin is like a sponge. We've got fine lines, we might have pores, we might be more dry, we might be more oily. And that surface won't always create the best base for the makeup to go on, sit nicely and last all day. So your skincare will help buff it back, hydrate it, and then the primer will help create almost a film, a fine layer that will block the skin from absorbing all your foundation. So for me, I've got lots of pores on my nose. If I don't put it on, you'll see the pores again 5 minutes after I have done my foundation. If you've got fine lines or you find it doesn't sit right under the eyes, that's another key area. And again, I always finish with the excess on my eyelids. You can use a separate eye primer if you want. If you're going for a heavier eye makeup look, eye primers or even an eye primer and then a light coverage of concealer on the lid will be the perfect base. But we're going to try and keep it a bit more natural and lightweight today. So there you go. It has got factor 15 in it, but please, please, please don't rely on your makeup for SPF coverage. I'm dropping things on the floor. Please use a minimum of factor 30 to 50 sun face protector before you go in with your makeup. So next up, we have a couple of different types of foundation at Mary Kay. I'm going to start with just the CC creams, which come in 4 different shades, and I've got that colour matching technology. And I'm going to show you how to colour match your foundation. So you can either do it yourself or you can contact me and we can work together. CC creams are colour correcting, they're medium coverage, they feel light on the skin and they're really hydrating and they help to even out your skin tone. So I'm a very light, but if I show you, this is how I colour match on my ladies. I have a little look, I kind of guesstimate where I think they're at and I'll take the 2 foundations closest, or 3 if I'm not sure. So we've got light and light medium here. You can see I put the tiniest amount on my finger, maybe a little bit too less, but we'll see. And you're going to draw a line from the face all the way down. Let me take that medium one a bit more, like so. And then, this is where I found out I get a bit sun and I've changed. You just blend that line out and you blend this line out. And then you give it a moment or two because the pH balance in your skin will change that product a little bit. Now I need a mirror here just to check because I've not done this for a while and I've been using very light and obviously we've had quite a bit of sun. I might have gone into, oh no, I can see. Right, let me get close. Hopefully you can see. One of them should have completely disappeared. Sorry for being so close. And the other you might be able to see more. And for me in this light right now, I can see the darker one more. So that is not the right colour. The one that disappears is the right colour. So I'm going to grab my very light and I'm going to take some and squeeze 1 pump. Let me make sure I've got no dark colour on my finger. 1 pump, not all the way to the end. That is enough for me to do my entire face. At this point, you can use brushes, you can use sponges, you can use your fingers. There are pros and cons to all of those. So I'm going to use my fingers today. They are easy to clean, our little fingers. They are warm, so it's malleable with the product helping it move. We can really get into the nooks and crannies, distribute, you know, over a couple of fingers and then distribute over the face before we start blending it in. Yeah, but I do still love a brush. A brush just needs to be washed, which means that, you know, it's time consuming. You have to wash your brush, should be once a week with a good antibacterial hand soap. Leave them to dry on their side, not upright. You don't want that water sitting on the glue of the brush, which is going to then allow for the bristles to start coming out. And you use up a lot more product when you use a brush because it obviously sits in the brush and doesn't all go on your face. Having said that, I have been using a brush a lot more lately. So a brush can really push into the pores and give a nice coverage. If you go in twice with your foundation using a brush, you will definitely need to sponge it after because you can end up with the lines of the brush on your face after. So there you go. I have blended it as quickly as I can because you don't want to spend hours watching me put my makeup on. I have blended that out with my fingers. Now, at this point, I realise I've forgotten to do something first, but that's okay. We're going to take the under eye corrector. So colour correctors come in yellows, greens, reds and so on, and often the product will tell you what it's for. The theory is colour theory behind it. So if you have the old fashioned colour wheel with your primary and your secondary colours on it, so you've got red, blue and yellow, you've got orange, green and purple, I think. jazz hands. What you'll notice is that opposite colours on the colour wheel mix will always make brown. So yellow is opposite purple, it mixes to brown or neutral. Red is opposite green, and orange opposite blue. Now we class things like sunspots and dark circles under the eyes on white skin or lighter skin as purple. So opposite to purple is yellow or yellow undertones. And then for red spots, redness, rosacea, we're looking at green being opposite on the colour wheel. And that tends to go underneath our CC cream. So next I'm going to take the light peach, it's called. So tiniest amount, okay? You're going to take that, dot it between the fingers. Now preferably do this before your CC cream. And if you really struggle with dark circles, pop those on those areas. So hopefully you'll be able to see, even though I've done it the wrong way round, it's brightening up under my eyes. Now sometimes you might find the last colour corrector I had from Mary Kay before they sort of evolved it was fine on top of the foundation. This is slightly more peachy and so does tend to sit better under the foundation. This is going to go against the next tip now. So when we're applying under the eye area, an area which often we can find maybe a little bit crepey or liney as we get older, we want there to be only a thin amount of product. So the key tip to under eyes is to start with hydration. So an under eye cream will give that thinner layer of skin extra hydration, stopping it from absorbing too much of the makeup product. Then we have your primer, which is obviously going to help create that barrier, just a thin, fine layer. And then we're going to take the under eye product, a small amount as you saw, pop it on under the eye, and then your foundation on top. Then when you've done that, and at this point you could take a concealer, but I don't really use a concealer very often unless I've got any redness. You're going to take a sponge, wet it, get a piece of tissue and a towel and squeeze it out. And then taking that damp sponge, we are going to literally just pat over the foundation. This is going to assure that it's all blended. If you used a brush, it's going to stop those lines from sitting on the face and blend them out. If you've gone too heavy under the eye, it's going to gently just lift and blend a little bit of that there. And it's just going to finish and help the setting process. And I didn't believe this until I was a model at the Kent Wedding Fair for a couple of years, and I had 3 different makeup artists do my makeup for me. Often I'd give them a bit of Mary Kay to add because I had a stall as well. And the one that sponged it down and said you will never stop under eyes from fully creasing, but the one who used a sponge was the one where at the end of the day I looked in the mirror and thought, wow, my makeup is really set well today. Next up, we're going to set all of that with a setting powder. So you might have a coloured powder, a pressed powder, all are fine. What I will say is that as our skin gets a little bit older, if we're more dry, or even if we're oily, a more finely milled, as this is, powder and a translucent one is the perfect fine layer. So we do these coloured as well, but I obviously for my kit, seeing all different people, I stick to the neutral one, which suits all skin types. So you're just going to swirl it around either in the top of the lid if there's much there or there like so, and then you're just going to give that fine layer over like so. And this is another one of those steps that really helps to not mattify too much, but mattify if you are oily, and help just that makeup last all day. So that is my base, and hopefully you can see we've added a nice clear, less blemishes, more fresh and glowy finish to the skin. If you do want more coverage, we have the Time Wise foundation, which is a heavier weight, so that means it's got more coverage, it's a thicker product, but it doesn't feel heavy, and it comes in either a formula for oily skin, so it's more mattifying, and a formula that is more luminous, which is perfect for the drier skin. So all of these things I work with the individual and help make sure we've got the right product for them and their skin. So let's move away from the foundations now and start adding in some colour. We're going to start with the eyes today, which as you've seen has a tiny layer of primer and a tiny layer of foundation on it. Now I have these systems where it is magnetic, which means when you run out of your favourite colour, you don't have to wait and replace the whole palette and be stuck with all the colours twice, because you can just replace, you can see all my coffee in my phone, you can just replace these items as and when they run out. So let's go in next with some glow, some summer glow. This is what it's all about. We're going to start with the eyes, and I'm going to go in with eyeshadow first. If you are warm, please stick with all your golden and brown tones. If you are cool based, then you want to stick with those stone and taupes and cool based brown colours, like, you know, stones and stuff. So today I'm going to use this. This actually will work for all of us. This is not too warm and not too cool. It's a really good one that sits in between. So I've grabbed at least 2 brushes. You can do up to 3 brushes for this. And we're going to start with your natural nude. Now, if you are a darker skinned lady, this is your natural nude. But for me today, the Biscotti is my natural nude. And I'm going to take a big fluffy brush, fill that brush up, tap the excess off, and then start to apply it all over from the brow to the lashes, as like so. Now this is because I want to create a transition base. All the powder I now put on top is going to blend easier because I've done this. It also helps give us a nice neutral colour all over the lid. So some people have a little bit more coloration on their eyes, and so that slight light amount of foundation followed by this neutral colour is going to help give you that base colour. So you can see you can bring it down into here if you like. As long as it's up here, this is where it needs to be as well, and we can come back in. Now this brush is going to help blend everything together as we go through the process, but I'm going to put it down for now. Next up, I'm going to take, you also have the option of any highlighters and bronzers at this point. So if you don't have much makeup but you've got highlighters and bronzers, you can swap them out here. I'm going to take this shimmer colour. In fact, is there a slightly softer one? No, I'll take this shimmer colour here, and I'm going to pop it on the middle size or medium sized brush, tap off the excess, and just apply it again to the lid here. And I'm gently pushing it into the skin as well. I'm not just wiping it across the skin, I'm gently pushing it into the skin. If you have a bit more texture, if your lid moves around a bit more, just spend a little bit of time here, making sure you've pushed it in to all the areas and giving yourself a perfect base like so. You can even use your finger at this point if you really feel you need to. Then we're going to take an even smaller brush. You can see this is what we call a crease brush, something small and stubby and rounded. And we're going to take your third darker colour onto the brush. And I will do a post later on which shows a couple of different boards of different colours for different colour types. Because as a stylist, I can prescribe the right shades of makeup for you based on your hair, skin and eye. This means you won't end up with products sitting in the drawer forever and ever that you just don't use and you're not quite sure why. Sometimes it's because we don't know how to use them, but sometimes it just doesn't look great on us. So now what I want to do is I've got my mirror here and I'm going to look down into my mirror, and as my head comes down I can see I'm ever so slightly hooded, but also I can start to see the shadow here of where my brow bone sits. So when I was younger, this is what gave me that youthful look. And now I'm getting a bit older, it's a little bit more hooded and a bit more deep set. So I want to apply the eyeshadow in a way that makes my eye look more youthful and more open. So I'm going to take the brow bone, which is a little bit higher than when the natural crease is, and I'm just going to plonk it here like so. Now at this point it doesn't matter if it's a little bit wonky because we're going to blend it out. Then I'm going to take a little bit more of that eyeshadow, tap off the excess like so, and I'm going to draw a line that joins the lid, the crease, sorry, to the lash line. So it's almost like you're pretending to draw a big fat Amy Winehouse flick like so. Now at this point, when you're doing it, please use your mind's eye and maybe even the brush to visualize this area here. So from the nose through to the end of the eye, through to the end of the eyebrow, where it naturally finishes. This rule of thumb is what's going to help keep your makeup lifted and not bring you down and make you look heavy and old. So from here, you want all the eyeshadow inside this space and no eyeshadow or eyeliner outside that space. At this point, if you've used a sponge or a brush for your foundation, you can actually use it to help clean up as you go. So you can see here, I've plonked it on. Let's do it again on the other side. And then we're going to grab that first brush, which was the big fluffy brush, and we're going to blend it all together with a small rounding off motion. Blend the brown into the lid, blend it up onto the brow bone up high, and soften those lines like so. And you can start to see we've got a real natural finish and a bit of definition on the eyes. If you struggle with eyeshadow and eye shape, just drop me a message and I'll see if I can advise over the phone if you're part of Midpoint for Women. So I'm just going back in with the brown and I'm making sure that where the line of each colour hits, it blends from one to the other. If you go a bit heavy here, you can go back in with the light shade and buff that out there. You can go back in with your shimmer on the lid and pop a bit more on there. And just keep going back and forth, looking in the mirror until you are happy that you are finished. So I'm going to move on. I could probably blend that a bit more. And again, you can be using the highlighter that you use on your face as a shimmer. You can use your bronzer as your eyeshadow, especially if you're going away. I could quite easily take all of these products out of here and just pop in. So I've taken out all the extra eyeshadows. Let's say I'm going on holiday. I just want really easy makeup. And I've just swapped it all out. So I've got 3 basic eyeshadows, a bronzer, a highlighter and a blusher, and off you go. So next up, we're going to go in with some eyeliner. So I can talk about colour now again. I get excited about this part. So this part on the lipstick I get excited about. So we have 4, I have 5, but I don't talk about the black eyeliner. Let's not talk about that. So we have 4 eyeliner colours here. We have the brown for all our warms. As a light, it's still better than black on me, but I tend to go for the grey, and that's what I'm going to use today because I'm cool based. Then we have the Fun, which is our blue. It's not too bright and bold. It's not half as scary as people think, and it's a really beautiful colour. And then we have our teal green. Now that's not going to suit our everyday natural summer look as much, but you can use it naturally in the day, and it's a cheap colour. It's called emerald, but it's like a teal, and it really suits everyone. Each pencil is, do you call it retractable, goes up and down. It's got its little end, which I used to think it was broken, and actually it comes off and acts as a sharpener, but I never feel the need to sharpen these. I just wipe between customers as well. So I'm going to take this eyeliner and I'm going to tickle all the way up to the lash line. If anything, just tickle the lashes, and only a small amount. It's really creamy consistency, but it sets and it is waterproof. So if you're someone who's got such hooded eyelids, you tend to find it comes up. Just be careful at this point because it would smudge at the moment, but once it's set, it won't end up on your lid. So I'm just now going to take a flat-ended brush. I have plonked that on. Look, if I get really close, can you see I've really plonked that on at this point because it doesn't matter. I've just aimed for maybe 1/3, not quite halfway if you can help it, and just as close to the lashes, tickling as you can. If you do not have a valuable space here to lose on eyeliner, so you're really hooded, maybe you've got a smaller eye, I would recommend you put your eyeliner up in the waterline up like this, in the tight line. Someone once said this is valuable landing space. Do not take it up with eyeliner if you have a smaller lid. So next I'm going to take the flat-ended brush and I'm just going to soften and blend it out. And at this point, if you've gone wobbly, it won't matter because you're really softening it out. And then I'm going to take the excess and I'm just going to pop it underneath like so because I don't want a lot under here. And that's optional. If you want it heavier underneath, you can pop some more liner on, but always blend. And again, the excess is on the brush. So I'm just going to soften and blend like so. Okay, so I could do a slightly better job, but as I say, I just want to carry on and not waste your time. So I am getting to a point where I probably should be putting it on the tight line, but I like a bit of definition and a bit of depth. You can go lighter than this. Now I'm going to go in with some mascara, and annoyingly we used to have a brown mascara and we only have black now, but brown or navy mascara is always going to be more flattering. Unless you are cool, deep or dramatic. So a little bit here. The more you keep going and pushing up, the more you're going to set them up. So if you want more of a flicked lash, then spend a bit more time applying the mascara for longer. Like this. Even when you get bored, keep going. And you should find that as the mascara sets, it's set in a lifting position. Mascara face. You have to remember I'm doing this in the foam mirror, so I can't look at you when I'm doing it. So, again, let me have another look in this mirror, make sure I've covered everything. A brown here would be far more natural, but there you go. Eyes are done almost. Now we're on to eyebrows. So how do you get yours done? Do you wax them, pluck them, have them threaded? I used to have mine threaded once or twice a year, and it would always make my eyes tear up and my nose run. And the last time my lady did waxing for me, and actually I think I'm converted to waxing now. It's a lot less painful. So I'm going to take either, you can take, if you're using the right colour, your eyeshadow. You're going to take some sort of angled brush, like so. I have one on the end of this one. Or you're going to take a pencil, but today I'm going to show you how to use powder. And I have one of these nifty little eyeshadow palettes. So I'm going to take we have a wax one here, which brings it out a bit darker. So for me, I use that in the evening, but every day I go for just the powder on its own. And then you're going to start, let me show you a couple of tips about shape. So you're going to use that rule of thumb again. So you're not going to come out any further here and not going to come in any further than that. You can look straight on in your mirror, and you should find if you line the middle of the black of your eye, that then lines up to your brow point. Now you might see it there naturally. I'm going to take my mirror at this point. What you're going to do is you're going to start by working on the underside, and you're going to reach for that point, but you're going to come up to the top side like so. Do that on the other side. Start on the underside and reach for the top like so. Draw that line in. Then you're going to take maybe a little bit more, it depends how much you've got on your brush, and you're going to start mimicking all those little hairs in an upward motion like so. They move over to this direction. Then I'm going to take it from the top and fill out any blank areas, and then I'm going to take the excess and just finish it like so. So then I'm going to take a spoolie, and that's what these are called, and any mistakes or anything that's gone too heavy at this point, because that looks quite dark on me for an everyday look, then you're just going to take that and you're going to start to buff and blend. My eyebrows are not the best shape at the moment. So can you see that's just softened it off? It's not as harsh as this side. And it's gently scratching it off the skin if it's gone in places where you don't want it to go. Equally, if you've got a pencil, let me see if I've got a pencil to show you here. No, I don't, I just use the end. You'll just be drawing those little brow hairs like so, remembering that rule of using the underside to the top and then down to the end here, and you'd still blend it out with a spoolie afterwards. So that is the eyes done. The eyebrows frame the face, and they are not twins, they're sisters. We are not symmetrical from side to side. Don't overthink makeup. If you can let go of that, then that will help you proceed. Also, if you're doing a look on your eyes and you're not used to makeup, wait till you've got to the end before you judge it. Until you've got your brows and your mascara on, it's going to look a bit odd. So finish the look before you judge it. And if you're really unsure but want to do makeup, Practice before you jump in the shower. Have a little go. Do just one eye and practice it. See how it feels and how it looks. The more you practice, the better you'll get. I've only had practice because I was that little girl who used to always play with makeup. So I've been doing it for years. Right, next we're going to add that summer glow. And to do that, we are going to need a couple of brushes. So I'm going to start with a blusher brush like so. And I'm going to take my bronzer here. We have two bronzer shades, a lighter one and a darker one. And I've popped some on the brush like so, and then tap off the excess. You can build, but it's hard to take away. Then I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to pull some funny faces. The first one's going to be this. I'm going to pucker up. I want to see where the natural shadow falls. And for me, it's about here. Now, I'm going to apply it here, but I'm going to apply it just slightly higher. If you put this on at this point too low down, you're going to make your face fall down, and we don't want that. We want to bring the face up. And I'm going to take it no further than here. I don't really want to come into this area at all. I'm going to keep it up here, and then I'm going to take it into my hairline and blend it out like so. And keep going until you're happy that you've blended it. Now, at this moment in time, I'm adding it for a little bit of definition, so contouring effect, but I'm also going to start adding it for that sun-kissed glow in a moment. So let's match up on the other side. Can you start to see I've added a bit of colour and a bit of definition? Up. It almost feels like maybe where you would put your blusher. I'm coming up as high as I can without going too high. And can you see I've left all this area here? This isn't being touched. So we've added a little bit of a glow and a little bit of a definition. Now, where does the sun hit? The sun hits the high points, the forehead, the nose, the chin. I'm going to start by bringing, if you've got a high forehead like me, I'm going to start by adding some bronzer up here because that's where the sun hits, but it's also going to help soften the really high forehead that I've got, especially because I'm so fair. You can bring it in here if you feel like you're too wide, and then the excess is just going to go over like that, and that's going to give me that sort of sun-kissed glow on the forehead. Making sure there's not too much on the brush. I want a bit on my nose. I'm even going to bring it onto the cheek like a blusher a little bit, and then the excess on the nose, and at this point you can just start to gently swirl all that excess around. There's hardly anything on my brush, but it's starting to really give me that sun-kissed glow. Now, if at any point you've gone a bit heavy, go back to that first brush and just buff it all out. You don't want the lines of where things stop and start. That's where it stops looking natural and starts looking like makeup. Okay? If you feel a bit heavy under the chin, you can add a bit more definition here, like so, with your bronzer. I know I have lost it a little bit here. Again, you just want to be careful to blend it out so you don't look like Boy George. He likes to use this trick. If he's feeling a bit overweight, you'll notice he paints the whole neck down, and it's to help avoid the look of that double chin or that neck seeping into your face, which I think is hereditary for me. So next I'm going to take the blusher. I don't need a lot of blusher because I'm going more sun-kissed glow. I'm going to take a little bit of this is a really lovely natural blusher. It's kind of like a almost not there. And then I'm going to go big cheesy grin this time, and we're going to find this little rosy part here and just buffer it on, up and over. Can you see that? This is a good cheek workout. Helps to plump up the cheeks if you do a cheek workout. Can you see? Just pop it on there, and that'll just add that rosy glow. When we put our foundation on, it blocks all that colour out. So we need to pop it all back in, but where we want it, even if you've got a bit of rosacea. So hopefully you can see that there. That's the powder one. We do have a cream one, but we're not talking about that so much today. And now I'm going to go in with the highlighter. I have a couple of highlighters. I'm going to show you how to use it with a regular brush. If you've ever seen these fanned brushes that sort of look like this, they are designed for highlighter. But we can create that effect ourselves by holding the brush like this or just go in very carefully. So I'm going to add load to the brush, I'm going to tap off the excess, and then I'm going to do the opposite to what I did with the bronzer, and I'm going to look, well no, I am going to look for the high points. I'm going to look for the high points like we were for the sun-kissed glow. So I can see it's lighter here, the sun bounces off those high points, and on the top of the lip. That's going to be a quick little tip on making your lips look plumper. So let's start on the cheek. Let me look in here. A line right at the top of everything we've done. Another line over here. And then a little tiny bit on the nose, on the chin. Now, if you want it on the Cupid's bow here, watch what happens. Can you see? It gives you that puckered up look. So pop it on there before you go to put your lipstick on. And that, if you want to, is all you need to do for that sun-kissed glow. You can pop it across the brow bone. You might have used that as your eyeshadow for your sun-kissed glow instead of the eyeshadow palette. I might do it tomorrow to see what the Friday. I might do it on Friday to see what the look looks like. But yeah, happy, all blended together and looking all healthy and glowy and ready for the summer. So all we need to do now is finish off with lipstick. Now with lipstick, I want to make sure I'm going for something natural and glowy, but I do want to show you a couple of other lipstick shades. So for you, if you are warm, I'm going to recommend either beige nude lip liner or mauve nude lip liner and Fancy Nancy. Fancy Nancy is so pretty, and for a long time I thought, oh, I'm telling everyone about this colour and it's beautiful and I love it and I'm selling it to all my warm ladies, and then I discovered there's something for us cool girls as well. I just hadn't experienced it yet. So if you're cool based, we have things like the rose or the pink nude. Rose if you're a little bit more, have more depth in your colouring than me, and we're going to go for a lipstick as well. So I'm going to pick something that's quite light before we run down, and I'll show you all the lipstick shades on the back of my hand. So if you're interested in colour analysis, hold off till the end if you want to be matched to a lipstick on the video. So I'm going to use Love Me Pink, which is quite a nice light pinky tone. I'm going to use the pink nude liner, and I'm going to start by putting the liner on all over. If you have smaller lips, you can go up to the edge and a little bit over the lip line. If you're happy with your lips, just go up to the lip line, and you'll notice I'm colouring in the lip. So they're blendable at this point. They're the same as the eyeliners. They're waterproof, perfect for holiday. So blend it out. You can blend it with your finger. The waxiness of the pencil is going to help the lipstick stay on longer, which is why I colour in the whole lip. But it also shows you that at this point, you might choose to just use that on its own and go in with a gloss. I'm going to go in with a little bit of lipstick. Where's my lip brush? This is my Love Me Pink. So really good for a light and a cool, a soft and a cool, or a cool light. I'm just going to put a little bit here. You see they're nice. That's a little bit more of a pink tone. So that's a lovely everyday natural finish. But we're talking about that beachy glow, and so I want to add a gloss. So you can see this is really gorgeous too. It's got that same sort of beautiful shimmer as the orange one, but we have Sheer Illusion here, which is the cool base one, and Fancy Nancy here, which is the warmer one. So I'm going to take the lip gloss. I'm going to blot the lipstick off a bit first. Creating thinner layers helps a product last. Now that feels really lovely and matte and almost not there. So if you're someone who doesn't like that creamy feeling of a lipstick, this now feels nice and non-existent, if you like. Now I'm going to take that lip gloss and add that really lovely, can you see that? Beautiful glow. Got a little bit of hair there. And that is my look finished. So I hope you found that really interesting. I'm going to move on and talk about colour, but that is the finished look for now. I could go a little bit higher maybe with the... No, I'm happy with that. I think I'll try it again on Friday, purely using just the bronzer, highlighter and blusher, and see what look I can create there. Because I'm just intrigued, really. You know, minimal product to create the most impact, especially when we're traveling. We don't want to take a lot away with us. And that's what I really love about this, because everything's there. and I can use any of those on any part of my face. I could use that as a highlighter, that as an eyeshadow, that as a bronzer, you know, and so on, that on my eyebrows. So having something that's really universal and versatile. Versatile. Right, so let's have a little look at the different colours. Using the back of my hand, we're going to go in with, for a cool based person, we've got the Beige Nude liner, which I've just used. We've got the Rose here, which has got more depth, either for an evening or if you just have a darker skin tone and you're looking for something that matches you. You can use your brown. If you have brown skin, darker skins, your lip liner could be the brown eyeliner. So it gives you an idea of the colours there. And then if you have that slightly more dark and cool undertone, excuse me, we've got this one here. So all our lovely cool lip liners there. This one is called Berry. Next up, lipsticks for the cools. We have the one I've just used, which is called Love Me Pink. So let's go on this end of the hand. Love Me Pink, a little bit Barbie, but really cute. Next step up, we've got loads more than this, but I just picked out a small handful to show you. Trademark Pink. So with our cool ladies, it's really hard to find a red lipstick that isn't too orangey. I often remind people that actually a lot of our dark bright pinks are our reds. This one is a lovely darker neutral, and I wear this as a natural. If anything, I should probably use that today for the beach glow, but I am so much more dramatic. I like a pop of pink. So this one is called Rosewood, really beautiful, quite popular one as well for my cool ladies. And a natural finish. So then we're going to move to the other hand and see if I could do this as well. We're going to use Beige Nude on one side for our warms and lights, warms and softs. I'll compare both in a minute as well. We've got Beige Nude, we've got the brown again you could use. I'm putting it all down, I can't see. I want Mauve Nude to show you. Beige Nude and Mauve Nude. Actually, I should have put the brown on this side because the brown is the warmer and the berry is the cooler. So let's go back in with the brown liner, which is an eyeliner but could be used as a lip liner. For our warms, there you go. Warmer colours. Then we're going to go in with the lipstick. So the lightest one is called Always Apricot, the lightest one I'm showing you today. Lovely and warm. We've then got Coral Captive, which is slightly deeper. These are the key ones I like to play with. I have a lot more in the kit though. And then you could say Coral is your pink as a warm, and then we have Tranquil Toffee, which matches nicely alongside that rose. And then can you see we have the warm hand here and the cool hand here, and then let me show you Fancy Nancy compared to the Sheer Illusion. Let's go down there. Really, really pretty. Look at that. What a gorgeous, lovely on its own, really lovely, just beachy product compared to the slightly cooler tone of Sheer Illusion. There you go. I hope you found that interesting today and helpful. If there's anything else you'd like me to tell you about makeup, I'm happy to do another video on YouTube. It won't get posted into Midpoint for Women. It could probably be posted into the link below here in the group actually. So if you say you want an evening look, how to do a flick, whatever it is, drop a comment below, and if I do another video next week, I'll just drop it into the comments below in Midpoint for Women underneath this post. If you would like to have a look at the catalogue, I'm also going to pop that down below, and later on I'm hoping to share a couple of 6 different dominant posts, and each one will be recommendations of colours for each different colour type. Bear in mind though, if I post a light, there will be light warm and light cool products on there, but you can pick either. I think as long as you get your dominant notes right, then you're fine. If you're a light and you wear really dark colours, it's going to look heavy. If you're deep and you wear really light colours, it might wash you out. for example. Thanks for watching. I've gone on a bit long today. Tomorrow is our last day for videos. What am I doing tomorrow? I can't remember. Maybe we'll make it a surprise. I can't remember off the top of my head. Join me tomorrow to talk all about wardrobe detox tips and shopping tips, best ways and practices. And yeah, any questions, just let me know. I've also got a blog. If it's not already out, I'll pop it out tomorrow, but I think it should already be out. I can't remember if I've done that. So keep up to date with blogs. And I'd love it if you follow me on social media. So head over to Facebook, KT Style Hub, KT Style Personal Stylist on Instagram, I think. And I can't remember what I'm called on TikTok. Thanks for watching, ladies. Have a great day. Bye for now.